Denike Adebayo, who's the director. In Nollywood, one of those sectors that is doing a lot, I guess, for the unemployment space. A lot of young Nigerians have found their way in that space. And there seems to be some sort of, I don't want to call it a revolution, but this YouTube life now that happened has democratized, so to speak, the space. Are you excited, or cautious about, how Nollywood seems to be pivoting?
Very excited, actually, because I believe it's creating more avenues for people to express themselves. It's just like Afrobeat, so that's what I always compare it to. Afrobeat is getting this explosion that's going on in the world right now, but it's also due to the volume that we're able to put out through the numerous platforms that are out there. So if Nollywood can also explore the YouTube space, then absolutely we should do it.
I think the last time the GDP was rebased in 2014, I believe, was the first time sort of Nollywood and entertainment was captured. And this whole conversation about 0.5% of the GDP, which were huge numbers, at the time. Do you see growth since then? The streaming guys have come, some of them have sort of stuttered and, crawled a bit, some have, withdrawn a few things. So a lot of people are not particularly excited today because of a lot of what happened last year with the Netflixes and the Primes, Do you see that as a step back, or is this a moment for us to sort of, okay, what's next for us, by us?
I don't think it's a step back. I think, like I would always say, we were making movies before they came, right? They met us here creating things, beautiful works. And so the fact that they're deciding to step back has nothing to do with what is, maybe not nothing, but just a little to do with what is going on in the industry. So I think it should also just help us explore other platforms as well, other distribution methods as well, Maybe even the government can look into supporting Nollywood by creating other platforms for us to distribute our films as well. So it's not exciting, but I don't think it should stop us from creating. Like someone said, they met us creating, we should keep creating. Other platforms are coming up every day, so you never know.
I think the one big criticism that Nollywood has always had is the fact that it's an all-comers affair. Now, on the one hand, it's a good thing, if you feel like you can do something, go in there. The space is democratized now. You can find your angle and, do your thing from there. But on the other hand, it's also, for a lot of people, like, where are the standards now, which is mostly what I want us to talk about today. Standards, technical prowess, and all of that. But the all-comers affair part first. Is that a fair thing to say about an industry where, globally, if you feel like you can do it, you should be able to.
That's what I was about to say.
But in a country like this, where you also sort of wonder, should there be a bar?
I don't think people are fair to Nollywood because they say, oh, Nollywood this, Nollywood that, but it's not exclusive to Nollywood. Even in Hollywood, you can pick up your camera and shoot. You're independent filmmakers. They don't cut you off just because you're not a part of the studio. Do you understand? Yes, are there guidelines to becoming a part of the guild? Or there are guilds here as well, Directors Guild, Producers Association. So there are standards. It's just we need to possibly explore putting more structure in place, but I don't think we should put a bar such that anyone that wants to come in is struggling to come in. Because again, we're in a world where being creative is what is moving right now, and it's encouraging people to just explore that aspect of themselves. So I don't think we should shut people off, but can we put structure in place? Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of structure, one of the things people have assumed maybe or confirmed, I don't know, why the streaming giants sort of have pulled back a bit from the industry is the quality. Nollywood became what it was because we're making movies and telling stories for ourselves.
Right.
The world saw it and liked it, right? Quality improved a bit, but there's still a lot of people who say, I can't watch a Nollywood film for whatever reason, right? Whatever the quality situation is, or maybe the stories or whatever. So that quality conversation keeps coming up.
Right.
We've seen South Korea all of a sudden come from nowhere. Everybody always talks about what South Korea has done.
It's not from nowhere, right? Yeah.
They built over time, and
over time,
they're competing heavily now. We laughed at Bollywood for years. Standards have improved. Can you say the same thing for us?
Absolutely. The movies Nollywood was making 10 years ago are not the movies you're making today. And the numbers speak of that, for themselves as well. So, and even if we don't talk about the numbers at all and say, oh, it's a popularity contest or however you want to justify it, just turn on your TV and watch a Nollywood film today and then compare it to what we even shot 3 years ago and 2 years ago. You'll see growth. You have to understand that you can't separate Nollywood from Nigeria. If Nigeria is growing, then Nollywood is growing as well.
Yeah.
You know?
The one thing I think people have said is like old Nollywood.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that term, but people talk about old Nollywood a lot. Had great stories.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't technically sound. Nollywood today, they have all the technical stuff. Cinematography is beautiful. Stories are lacking.
Right.
Why is that? Why have we lost touch with those stories that made us, want to sit down every evening, go to the video club and rent a movie and watch, and everybody is talking about this thing, to today where almost every storyline is the same. Technically, it's beautiful to watch. We have all the greenery or whatever, all the shots, but the stories are not as compelling anymore. Is that a fair judgment?
Not 100%. I'd say that, back then, quality was lower, budget was lower, so you could say, we can do this with this story and it would be satisfactory. But you also have to understand that the taste we had for movies 20 years ago is not the same taste we have now. 20 years ago, we weren't as exposed to the world as we are now. So naturally, the standards we demand are higher. Do you get what I'm saying? So now there is budget for better quality, because even with your iPhone you can shoot a beautiful movie, right? But now it's like, how big can this story go on this budget that I have? Because again, there are just so many factors that are working together. I don't think it should be a blanket statement that every time Nollywood comes out, we don't come out with good stories. I come out with good stories,
But the counter argument to that, is the Bollywood story. People would say Bollywood stories have not changed. They still do their dancing. They still have those big sets with choreographies. The special effects are a little better now.
Right.
The stories are cleaner, but it's still authentically Indian. Right? Here, you don't seem to... I mean, 2, 3, you, maybe a few other people are doing, but the overwhelming feeling is that the stories are just not as compelling. It's a fact.
But what is compelling? What is authentically Nigerian? What is it that people are looking for that they are not getting with the diverse number of movies that are coming out of Nollywood? Because you're getting epic, you're getting contemporary, you're getting movies that Gen Zs can relate to and millennials can relate to. So are you saying is the believability of it that people are not satisfied with? Maybe we need to go down and into the details and ask specifically what is it that is lacking? Or because a lot of people who are like, a lot of times people say, it's not believable. Well, Fast and Furious isn't believable. I'm a big fan of it. Do you get what I'm saying?
So what do you think is lacking?
I think a part of it is double standards. Some people just don't like Nollywood for whatever reason. They don't like it, and so any reason they have to justify that, they run with it, right? But I think, is there room for growth? Again, absolutely. There is no perfect film out there. There's always room to grow. We can always do better, but we can only do better if you encourage us by watching, and the demand keeps going higher. The more demand there is for quality films, the more quality films we'll get, I believe.
There was a big controversy last week, the week before, that's been going on over social media, right? About this writer who sold the same story to 3 producers. They all shot their movies and put it on YouTube, and people start noticing, why am I watching the same movie again by a different director or a different producer? Ended up with one of the producers, I think, Omoni Oboli, pulling down her own content, and now there's a whole back and forth about why did this happen, When a situation like that happens, and as a fan or a viewer, you see this, you're like, these people are not serious, right? Is that an individual situation, or is that sort of a wider view of what Nollywood is because of this lack of standards, where especially what YouTube in particular has done, where anybody can shoot anything and put, which is a good thing, but then it still comes back to the fact that who's checking these things?
That's a good question. But I think in this situation, that person was badly behaved, obviously, has no morals. That is just wild that you would do something like that, and not just once, but twice, so it should be a criminal offense. That person needs to get arrested, because Omani obviously put a lot of money into her production, and now she can't even show it. So how is she going to write that off? Do you understand? So it's horrible that happened. How do we check it? I don't know. But there is a guild for writers. I know there's an association for Nollywood writers as well. So is there a system? Do we now develop a system where once a script has been sold, it has to be uploaded onto a platform where you can do like checks and balances to make sure no one else has something like that? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if other countries have that as well. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of, no matter the structure we put in place, there's a lot of integrity that comes with this, as with any job as well. Like, how do you want to present yourself? How do you want to present the industry? It's just a horrible situation.
Yeah, I know you say the person is bad, but there's people have pointed out that this is not the first time things like this have happened. Not with the same person.
Okay.
This became a thing because a superstar or money was involved. People have, I saw screenshots of things on social media saying, oh, this is not the first time. I've seen 2 movies before and I wondered why they were so similar.
Wow.
And you find out maybe you see the credits and the writer is sort of the same person. So it's something that's kind of been happening, and it just makes you wonder, are these guilds as effective as they should be? I know you talk about the Actors Guild. Maybe that's the one that a lot of people hear about because there's actors are always in the forefront. All of these other guilds exist, but are they really doing anything?
They are. I'll use myself for instance now. I have a film coming to the cinemas and there are checks and balances, right? The film isn't just thrown onto the screens for Nigerians to consume. It had to go through, I'm a member of the Producers Guild and the Directors Guild, and it had to go through a check. The censors board as well. They have to censor it, they have to watch it, they have to censor it. And it has to be what is going to be shown at the cinemas, not a different edit, not a different code. Do you understand? So these guilds are working. Are they at the forefront and are they so popular and are they trending and all of that? Maybe not, but it doesn't mean they're not functioning. However, as I've been saying earlier since, is there room for growth? Absolutely. Can we do better? Can we put better checks in place? Maybe saying to producers, you can only buy or you should only buy scripts for people that are members of the Writers Guild or something. I don't know, but there can be checks in places that would actually control these things a lot better.
How much of this is a money thing? Because writers are very poorly paid.
Yeah, it is a money thing.
So they have to do what they have to do, right?
So did you say they're poorly paid?
That's what I hear.
Not all writers.
Okay.
Not all. I've faced some writers. See, we're all growing together, right? So if I have a budget to put into a film, I'm going to allot my expenses accordingly. Yeah. Do you understand? So I wouldn't poorly paid. So see, it's not just on the writers. It's also on the producers as well. There are some producers that are also badly behaved and they don't want to pay. Do you get what I'm saying? And it goes back to the quality as well. So if you want a really good script, you're going to have to pay for it.
You mentioned that you have a movie coming out in the cinemas. Tell us about it.
Yay, Summer Rain. Summer Rain is a romantic drama. It's coming to the cinemas February 7, 2025.
In time for Valentine.
Perfect. That's it. In time for Valentine. But don't wait till Valentine's to go see it. It's a love story. However, it's not just a feel-good love story. It's a love story that has a lot of depth into it, and it spans the space of 10 years. So Gen Zs can relate to it because this story starts out with them as teenagers, now we have actors playing the teenage characters. So you don't have the same actors playing everything. We're very intentional about that. So you have the teenage actors, you have the older actors, and then you have their parents as well, you have their friends. So Daniel Etim Effiong, Balaji Ogumola, Latif Adedimeji, Femi Branch, Sinalba, Genevieve Ume, Kade Ujolapidon, Emeka Kanaga. Lots of people are in this film, and they all embodied these characters and just brought their story to life. Like Balaji would always say, if they don't propose to you after watching this film, there is a problem.
Check yourself or check your partner.
Or check your partner. So you need to bring your partner or that person that you're eyeing or somebody to bring them to go see the film at the cinemas February 7, 2025.
That lineup sounds very, very interesting. Looking forward to it. What makes you, there's a lot of stories about how hard it is to do cinemas now.
Oh, God.
How confident are you feeling? What made you still want to do that?
This is my first cinema film, actually, and my second directorial film for a feature film. So it is a new venture for me, and to anyone who could listen, I'd been lamenting, like, who sent me? God, I beg. It is not a cakewalk. I am not feeling confident at all. I'm trusting God a lot, and of course, I'm here talking about the film. We're doing the best we can with our marketing, and just trusting that Nigerians are going to come out to support us.
Please come out and support us. Making films are very expensive.
Very.
And please you listen to her, people who are going to be in the movie. Amazing lineup. Sounds like a great story. Everybody loves love.
Are you going to come see it?
Why not?
Yeah.
February 7th, out in cinemas everywhere, so make sure you go support it. Summer Rain.
Summer Rain,
yeah. Out on the 7th of February. Thanks a lot for joining us today, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much.